Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be writing a state file. Now, what is a state file? A state file contains the information that we will be running on the Salt server. That information is very much related to the modules that we've been calling via the CLI. For example, user create and user delete. We'll be writing all of that into the state file and then just running the state file. The benefit of this is that all of the data is kept in the state file, so we can just use that one state file over and over and over again, and depending on however many servers we spin up or take down. So we can also go ahead and use pillars and grains to pull data into the state file. However, we're not going to be doing that too much this time around because I'm just trying to get across the point of how to use a state file for right now. We will be doing that later on in the course, however. Okay, so let's go ahead and review all the stuff that we will be installing via the state file. So on our this is only going to be targeting our web application server right now. So we'll be installing Apache. We'll create a file, index.html, in that designated location. We'll create a user as well as an SSH key for that particular user. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I want to be able to pull this all from a repository, so I've gone ahead and created a new Git repository, public Git repository for myself called Salt class, and this is how I would initiate that particular Git repository. So I'm going to go ahead and create let's run all that here. All right, sweet. So now we should see the README. Yep, and just says Salt class. Great. Okay. So in this particular repository, I'm going to have 3 different folders, each for the environment that we had initially created. Let's go back to my instance, and let me go ahead and log into my Salt master. Is that the right one? That is the right one. All right, so let me remember. I don't remember exactly how many environments I had initiated. So just the one. Okay, so /sre/salt/base. Awesome, spectacular. So what I will do is that I will just create the base directory. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and initiate the base directory here and go from there. Actually, this will be our base directory, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a I like to use Sublime Text, so this is my editor of choice. Now, to define an environment in Salt, you have to have a file called top.sls. You can't just have the declaration of an environment location in the Salt configuration and just say that this is an environment. It doesn't quite work that way. You have to have the file called top.sls in the location of that environment. Top.sls's purpose is to have an aggregate of either all or every minion name or minion that contains certain pillars or grains, and be able to run certain state files for that particular pillar. So for example, if I had we have web instance, right? So I can target web, and then we can have states run state name Apache, Nginx, users, and so on. And we can have other ones that are named application, and we'll have app, users, and so on. Now, what this will do is that instead of targeting certain instances or certain minions, you target everything, and then this top.sls just looks what to look at, or which minion to look at, and to identify which state should be run for that particular minion. That's the benefit of the top.sls. Now, we're not going to do that right now. We will be doing that later in this course, however. First, what we need to do is we need to create the top.sls to define this as a variable, or as an environment, I'm sorry. So we're going to have, and I'm going to change my syntax coloring. So we're going to have everything, and it's not going to, there's nothing there. We'll target web, and it's going to have Apache state. We don't have the Apache state as of yet, so don't even worry about it. I think this is right. So let's go ahead and save this as top.sls. All right, I need to get my, oops, no. I forgot my shortcut keys. There we go. Now let's go ahead and make a folder. Oops, not a file. Make a folder named Apache2. New folder. Apache, not Apache2, I'm sorry. And we will make a file called init.sls here. Now, what we want to do here is we want to install Apache. So you can run HTTPD is the Red Hat version of Apache. So we will say install HTTPD or install Apache as the name of the state. And I'm going to make sure I got that right. Package.installed and packages HTTPD. So let's go ahead and go over to our salt documents. Yep, package.installed, packages, and we have HTTPD here. Sweet. So we'll have HTTPD. And what else did we say that we were going to go ahead and install? I believe that was it. So we're going to have a file and a user and so on. So, but for this will be one state. This is just state Apache, and then this is going to be state user. So we're calling two different states here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and install HTTPD. That's done. And then index HTML. File.manage. And give me just one moment and I'll explain everything here. Okay, so this installs HTTPD with yum install or apt-get's Ubuntu apt-get. So that's there taken care of. This will go ahead and it will create a file called index.html. Now we're missing one parameter here, which is the source. We don't have the source for index.html, and we will need to create that. But this is very simple. You know, you have the Apache user, so that means that index.html is going to be owned by Apache. Its group is going to be Apache, and the mode for it is 644. It's just like the same Linux 644. So the user is going to have read write, which is for the 6. The group is going to have 4, which is just read, and everybody else will have read. So let's go ahead and create the source of Apache, or sorry, for the source for index.html. So we'll create a new file here. And let's save this real quick as init.sls before it gets lost. So we'll save that, and then we'll create instead we'll create a new folder called sources. Or no, let's name it templates. Templates, and I like to have everything in order. So we'll create templates, and in templates we'll say hello from Salt. And this will be index.html. All right. So now we can set the source. Source is salt apache / template / index.html. Now, you don't have to worry about specifying your local documents and routes and so on, or wherever it is going to be in the Salt master. Salt will pick up the environment from here on. So you just need to go from the environment to the directories afterwards down to the very last file. So we have the environment here, salt class, or in the server it'll be base, down to the Apache, from Apache to templates on index.html. Now this will go ahead and install the package, and it will go ahead and create the file, but it will not start the service. So let's go ahead and start the service. So salt Yep, there it is. Actually, I want the state service, I'm sorry. So we can name it this way, where the service name is here, service.running, enable true, but we would rather have it in another way where we can name the service. So Apache service.running. Yep. And name is HTTPD. And we'll say enable equal true. Now, this enable true specifically means that every time the server starts, every time a server starts, it will go ahead and start that service. It's kind of like check config, where you can configure it so whenever you run level 3 or 5 or so on, it'll go ahead and start this particular service. It looks like I made a mistake. I didn't capitalize my enable. Sorry, the true in my enable T. So let me go ahead and do that. Yep, it's lowercase. Make sure that's uppercase. Salt will complain about that. All right, so now that will go ahead and it will install Apache, create the file, and install the service. Also, we have this top.sls file where the web instances are going to be installing Apache. So let's go ahead, and this is what we should see in our index.html. So let's go ahead and push this through our Git repository. So let's see if we can go ahead and, do I have Git? Oh, unfortunately I do not. So let's go back here. Git commit. And git push. All right, so now we should have these particular folders that we've just added to our Git repository. Let's go ahead and check that out. Here's my Git repository. And yep, so we have Apache, we have the top.sls, but this is what we're primarily worried about. So let's go ahead and clone this onto our environment. So let's SSH into the master. And I believe our environment is /srv/salt/base. And there's already top.sls here. Oh, well, git clone. Actually, I have that copied. Oh, I don't have that copied. Git clone. Permission denied. Sudo git clone. Okay. I needed to sudo just because I don't have permissions as this user, but unfortunately my top.sls did not get overwritten, which is what I was expecting. So let's do sudo git clone. Ah, I see what happened. Okay. I will have to rename our salt class into base, but I'm not too worried about that. Anyways, so as you see, what I did there is that when I copied salt class, it created the folder salt class and everything was inside there. So just go into the folder and move everything back one folder into the base directory, and then you can just remove the salt class folder from there on. So here's everything. I've got my top.sls with just Apache there, and I've also got my Apache folder with my init.sls and my template. And if I cat my init.sls, we have my package, my file, and my service. So now let's all cross our fingers and hopefully we'll be able to go ahead and push the Apache state to the web instance. So sudo salt web and star state.sls Apache. There we go. Look at that. Awesome. It worked wonderfully. So Apache was apparently already installed. So what it did was it created this file and it put it in the group Apache, user Apache, mode 644, and it started the Apache service. So now that particular instance was, or sorry, that particular server was this guy, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, let's verify that. We have the private IP of this guy, which ends in 166. So let's do, I believe grains.items did show the IP address. So if we look at it, the node name ends in 166, and the IP address is in fact ending in 31.31.166. So this is actually our web instance. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to web01. All right. And now web01 should have Apache running. So let me go ahead and make sure its security group are completely straightened out. And let me allow, it's not allowed right now. So HTTP from everywhere. All right. Spectacular. So now I should be able to go to its public IP and I should see hello from Salt. Hello from Salt. All right. So all we did was we installed Apache from its public yum repository. We didn't need to install any particular repository like EPL or so we didn't have to worry about that. We created a file, we gave it a source, and we started Apache. And this enable true just stated that every time the server reboots, Apache will automatically start. Now, I'm going to take a break here, and on the next video, we're going to be creating another state called user, which will be creating the user and pushing a SSH key for that user into the minion that's going to be associated with that particular state. So we'll be doing almost exactly the same thing. We'll just create it, instead of an Apache state, we'll create a user state and we'll create the user credentials, or sorry, the user SSH key and everything, and push it through there. All right. So I'll see you guys next time.